Everyone, and welcome back to the Architecture Social Show. Often we're talking about buildings, which is super important because this is architecture. But as you know, we're all the time in the office, and you'll start your career at one point as a junior. Who knows? You get plunged into a project, and over time, if you're doing really well, you'll get promotions. And one day, maybe your boss says, you need to now run a project and manage a team. And you'd be thinking, where in the university did we talk about running a team? I didn't know how to do it myself. So it would have been handy to have these conversations. And on that note, I want to bring my guest in. Carlo Magni is an architect at EPR Architects, an associate director. So he builds all these cool stuff. And also on the side, helps people in particular with leadership training, especially for those who are a little bit more shy than people that talk too much like me. But on that note, I'm going to have a breather now and say, Carlo, how are you, sir? Are you okay?
I'm good. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm really good. Now, Carlo, we know each other for a while, but for the benefit of the audience, why don't you say in your words a little bit about yourself on the larger scale of like what you do in the industry, and then a little bit about what you do on the coaching quickly.
So let's start with the less traditional way. So I'm Italian. I'm Italian. I'm an introvert. I'm addicted to learning. I need to learn stuff in depth. So that's what I'm absolutely fixated with learning. So my first love has always been construction, design, architecture, engineering. So I became an engineer first, and then an architect. And I spent the last 17 years in the construction industry. That's my first love, but I also have a big passion and love for leadership. Everything that goes from psychology to management and team management. So as I said, 17 years in the construction industry. I'm an associate director at EPR Architects in London. It's been 7 years with EPR, and you know EPR is a great company, great people, fantastic projects. I mean, we go in residential, commercial, hospitality. We do international hotel project now, which is extremely cool. Anything that goes from 20 to 50 million budget to hundreds of millions of budget, so there is no limit. And we have a very cool office in Elephant. Is a Victorian building, completely refurbished by ourselves. It was an orphanage at the beginning, and it really reflects EPR values. I mean, the values of quality from an aesthetic point of view, quality from a technical point of view, the value of sustainability. Think about this is pretty impressive. We are one of the first UK office to be a net zero carbon in operation, which is pretty unique. The other big value is inclusivity. I mean, from an inclusiveness point of view, we are very flexible indoor spaces. We have also outdoor spaces just nearby the Imperial War Museum, and everyone coming in. I mean, the feeling is really welcoming. It's a great place to thrive, to learn, to develop, not just from a technical point of view, of course, but also from a soft skills point of view, from a human point of view. And for example, we do mentoring. Mentoring is a big thing for young professionals, and for me, it's something special, honestly, because I always been into, I need to learn as much as possible. It's like a sponge. I need to absorb by people around me, bosses, peers, colleagues, and people with more experience than me. And then I joined the first cohort was years ago when I was a mentee and did the mentee thing and the year after. But also I started becoming a mentor, and it was amazing. I mean, because I'm so much into learning, then I need to share, I need to teach, I need to share with others, to mentor others. And that's where I started to think about, this is something I get energized with. I get really into, this is something, because again, it's a mutual conversation, a one-on-one setting, which is perfect for me as an introvert, actually. And because I've always been in love with construction, what it is, basically you build buildings. But the most important thing, and as you mentioned at the beginning, you start building relationship with people, which probably is even more important than buildings. And then you realize, okay, what's what's this thing about the human interaction with your colleagues, with your peers, with your teams, with your bosses, and then it goes into consultants and clients and contractors and so on. So I started to really get interested in how this dynamic of teams and interpersonal relationship works. That's why in the last decade, I've been studying a lot and researching and going in depth of this topic. And basically, I got really serious in the idea to understand the human aspect of interactions. That's why I'm on a mission to translate cutting-edge science into easy tips and advice to help first-time managers and team leaders, particularly introverts, to improve their games in terms of confidence, leadership status, and team performance. And I do this with one-to-one mentoring, coaching, bespoke training as well, which is based on my experience in working in team setup of any size, also leading individuals, leading teams, and it's not just my experience. It's also based on the latest science, because again, I study a lot, latest researchers in the organizational psychology field, let's say, and it's amazing. I mean, there's so much you can learn from others. There's so much you can share and teach.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. Maybe we'll jump into that, because some people might have been familiar with the word soft skills and then hard skills. And there's often a big debate online, which is more important. Some people can argue that those soft skills are really, when we talk about soft skills, it's like communication, a few other things. Maybe you can give the robust feeling of those, but then you've got other skills as well which are important, such as software skills, which can and can't get you into a job as well. So maybe first of all, can you explain in your words what hard skills and soft skills are, and which ones you feel are quite important, and we'll flesh them out together?
Well, if you put it into context, so there are only three types of jobs. There is technical job, there is supervisory job, and a top level is strategy job. Mm-hmm. And everyone had to start somewhere. And most of the time we start from a technical job. So you are a doer. You need to do stuff. You need to learn how to do. And then if you are good and you get promoted, you go into the supervisory level. So you become a manager. You manage other people to do the job you used to do. And then if you are very lucky, you go into strategy level, so which is the very top, which is all about analytical thinking, decision making, and so on. So when we got to our hard skills, so hard skills are technical skills, maybe software skills. Learning a language is a hard skill as well. So basically, just imagine you have a container where your skill set container, and the hard skill container is hard. I mean, imagine you have a box, you put like hard skills here, and it's like, I learned this software. And the good thing, the easy thing with hard skills is something you either know or you don't know. So if you are good at doing something from a technical point of view, you're either good or you're very bad. I mean, there is no, kind of, don't know. You know how to use Revit, you know how to use Navisworks, or you don't. Of course, you can always improve, but the easy thing with hard skills, again, you have this hard container, you put boxes in it, and that's it. The container doesn't change, because as long as you learn something, you can put it on top, and you can put it on top. As long as you don't have memory problems, you can learn as much as you like from a technical point of view. So, soft skills, they are completely different, because soft skills are interpersonal skills, communication, public speaking, presentations, leadership, managing others, and dealing with difficult conversations. And the main difference between hard skills and soft skills is they change the way you are. Think about it. We have all our own personality. We have all our beliefs, attitudes, habits. We have all our way to do stuff and to think and to act. And when you learn a new soft skills, most of the time you need to change those things. You need to change your beliefs sometimes. You need to change your personality a bit. You need to stretch beyond your comfort zone. If you are an introvert like me at the beginning, if you are chairing a big meeting, or if you need to speak in public, of course it's bloody scary, because again, it's outside your comfort zone. Therefore, learning new soft skills is all about pushing beyond your comfort zone. And the more you push, the more you realize you are like a sponge. You can absorb, you can learn more, and you can change the way you thought about yourself. That's why I don't know if you read the book about mindset, where it's about having a fixed mindset or having an open mindset. Having an open mindset means that you can always learn and grow. It's not something, learning is not just for kids. It's learning is for everyone. up to 90 years, 100 years, whatever. I mean, there is no limit of how much you can learn. And soft skills is a great investment for everyone in any industry, really, because again, to pass beyond your technical skill set, you need to learn and develop new soft skills or improve the one you have already. Again, people may be more, they are born with certain skills of being more charismatic, but you can also learn how to be charismatic if you like, but it's not necessary. You need to understand when to use those skills and how to apply it. So again, being flexible and being really open to learn new soft skills is fundamental, particularly in career development.
Yeah, and let's go into that, because I thought, as you're saying, it's quite interesting. You talked about the free jobs at the start, you know, the more technical, the more doer, and then the other roles, and when you're leading the teams and stuff. So it's quite interesting. And do you think as well, especially people starting their career, it's more about those initially, it's more about the hard skills? Because on recruitment, I will get a lot of architecture practices saying, I need someone who's good at Revit and ready to go. And you experienced a little bit of this when you moved from Italy to the UK. Do you have any thoughts on that, starting the career compared to further along, like you were saying?
So, so that was my focus, and when I moved from Italy to the UK. So I had already 8 years of experience in Italy. So I wasn't like fresh from uni. I did stuff.
You knew your stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
You built buildings. Yeah,
exactly. So I know all my stuff already. I've done my equivalent of part 1, part 2 experience and everything.
Yeah.
And now I need to change country, which was the reason, because I decided to do so. At a certain point, I remember it was it can be pretty dramatic if you would like to capture it this way. But I was sitting down in my room, and I was crying, and my wife came in and said, "What's going on?" Well, I don't think the job I'm doing is fulfilling. I don't think I expressing my passion, my expertise, my knowledge, my love for what I used to be very excited to in the job every day. So, and slowly I started to convince myself I needed to do a drastic change. I need to go somewhere else. I need to go. I always been dreaming. I want to go in the States. I want to go where you speak English, because I mean, I've always been fascinated about the States, the movies, and Hollywood, and so on. Yeah, which is a pretty stereotypical. Okay, and then I said, okay, what's something similar but slightly closer and easier? Because I thought that at that time, that was before Brexit, so it was relatively easy. I said, okay, let's try the UK, and I fell in love with London. I mean, for me personally, I'm a Londoner. I'm grateful for everything I've learned and I've been given in this country. But for me, London is all about London. I'm still excited about the city. So when I came in, I said, okay, what I need English language, and I need Revit. English language, I was pretty rubbish, because at university and at school, I always studied French. I never learned a single word in English. The only thing I've learned probably is through video games, which you can imagine how much you can do in an interview if you have just a very basic. So I spent more than 1 year learning English through audio podcasts of people speaking in English from, I remember one guy from San Francisco, one from LA, and one from the UK. And I started to notice, this different accents. The British English is quite different to what I'm used to learn, not much. And then I got the English sorted out. And let's do with Revit. I have a bit of experience before with Revit in Italy, but I need to up my game. So same thing. So I spend every single lunchtime, every single weekend, evenings to study Revit properly with the training online and so on. And then I came here. I was ready. I got English. I got Revit. There's nothing can stop me. And at that time, I didn't know about recruiters. I didn't even know recruiters existed at that time. Yeah. So true. I went office by office. I think I did 50 architectural practice in London, one by one, delivering my hard copy of CV. Yeah. And I think in a week I got 5 interviews. I got 3 offers. I was really excited. Again, this was before Brexit. Wow. Yeah. And then I was, here we go, I got the job. So let's start a new life, new country, new place, whatever. And I realized that, I got my art skills, but there is another level here. There is another dimension of understanding exactly what's going on. Because at the very beginning, I really struggled with the language. Although I thought I was good enough.
Yeah.
But when you have been asked to do something, where you've been asked to do something and then explain to someone else, well, you need to understand exactly what they're talking about.
Mhm.
And therefore, I started to pay a maniac attention to every type of conversation and communication that happened directly to me, but also around me. And then you start noticing different shades of the way things are said and why are said and so on. So you start learning, okay, there is this other dimension, which is communication, which is not just, you know, the language you speak, that's it. You get understood and you get what you ask for. No, it's not necessarily what you say, it's what other people hear. So therefore, I enter into, okay, that's another game here. It's not about trying to express myself, but it's also understanding and try to influence the way I communicate and the way other people communicate to me. And then you start adding emotions in it. You start to add other dimensions of communication, which is not just verbal. And then that's when this was about 10 years ago, this is when I really started to go out into communication, learning of communication skills, soft skills, understanding difficult conversations between colleagues, especially in the workplace. And that's I realized, well, I need to invest more in soft skills because, again, I got my Revit thing, and then you learn Navisworks, you learn whatever software you want to learn. And then you have your technical statutory regulation thing, which was slightly different than Italy. Then you got that. But again, these are hard skills. To up your game and to progress in your career, definitely you need to invest more in soft skills. And that's the best thing ever because, again, you start to change. You start to question the way you've always been. Oh, I've always been a shy person. I'm a big guy, but I've always been shy. So therefore, you need to try to stretch beyond your comfort zone. And when you start stretching beyond your comfort zone, you start to grow, you start to change, and then it becomes an habit.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I agree. I think soft skills, especially when it comes to management and your roles change, becomes more and more important. And those tick boxes of the Revit, you've done them at the start. So what was your experience then? Because you mentioned as well, you're an introvert, but for the benefit of talking about leadership, your first leadership role. So you've gone from being a team member to a team leader. Personally, I found it quite daunting at first. You're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? However, how was your experience as a team leader in the first time?
So, again, I always been into learning stuff. So, and I knew that at a certain point that has to happen because it's a kind of a natural progression. If you are good at doing your thing, if you're good at doing your technical stuff, then it's very likely you get to do the leadership stuff. Which is simply like maybe leading a small team or leading a couple of individuals and then leading the project and so on. And I wasn't easy at the beginning, again, because you're asking questions, you start into going into the lack of confidence mode. You start to go into the imposter syndrome mode. And you start to asking yourself, why is me? Is it how others are perceiving me? What others are thinking of me? Now I'm here in a position to lead and to take decision for my team. How does it work? So I made so many mistakes. I mean, you learn by mistakes. There's no way, and no one comes in first time just nailed it. No, you do mistakes all the time. And I think the important thing is to be flexible and understand that you are just learning. I mean, it's fine. You did a mistake, you learn from the mistakes, and then continue.
Yeah. One of the epiphanies for me, when you're managing, at first, I almost think this is the way you manage one person. It must be the same for other people, but actually people are very different and people respond to different things. Do you have any thoughts on that, Carlo, if I'm right or wrong? Or
yes, that's the biggest thing ever. I mean, if you do any research, any serious research, not just the gurus mumbo jumbo stuff, but if you do any serious research, in science there is just one absolute in terms of things that happens all the time, and the first is people are different. People are different. There's no other way to say, let's generalize on everyone likes to do this thing. Everyone hates micromanagement. Everyone likes like a transformational leadership. No. Everyone is different. So you cannot say everyone does this. Everyone is different. Everyone is unique. So the first thing is understand, first of all, who you are. By who you are means not just what do you think about yourself, but understand also what other people think, not necessarily think about yourselves in terms of judgment, but in the professional environment, your reputation, the way you come across with others is fundamental. So therefore is understand yourself first, deeply and seriously, not just do like a horoscope type of thing, and then understand that everyone around you is different. So definitely you need a different approach with everyone. Of course, it takes energy, it takes time. You cannot come in and say, okay, this is my way of doing things, and everyone needs to submit to my way to lead, which is a dictatorship kind of. Is actually the opposite. You need to adapt and understand who is in your team, what are their strengths, what are their talents, what is their inclination in terms of helping in a way or the other. Of course, you need to set a structure. You need to set kind of very simple rules that makes the team manageable. But you need to understand exactly what you're working with, because I agree with you. Everyone is different. There's no other way.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest mistakes or the epiphanies that I learned. Now, I know that you've done a bit of research, as you say, and you've also worked with a lot of people, as have I. I mean, what's the biggest other mistakes that you see team leaders making, especially within architecture, that we should think about and maybe improve on?
Well, this is a very basic error. And everyone does in every industry, particularly architects, because most of the time architects tend to be very bad in time management, and managing a team takes time.
Yeah.
So there is no way you can run your project, and then you have stuff to do, respond emails, or speaking with clients, consultants, whatever, and also on top of that, you are managing a team. Well, you need to allow for time to do that. Otherwise, you are neglecting everyone in your team. Everyone has no direction. So the first basic error, I don't know why it's not mentioned enough, is you need to make sure that you have the time to manage your team, which means that you need to explain to your bosses that you need also time to manage your team, and therefore you shouldn't be completely loaded for whatever you need to do. That's why the art of delegation is so important, because you either do your normal job, you get more responsibility, you're leading a team, you are neglecting your team and you're trying to do everything yourself, or you start to understand, okay, I need more time to spend with my team, to understand them, to know them, and then I will leverage the knowledge I have from everyone, the differences, the uniqueness they have, the value they bring on the table, and then I will delegate in a way that works with them and it works for the entire team. But time is, again, so many people, you may be amazed how many people think, oh, I'm doing my project, and by the way, I'm leading a team, but I have no time to lead a team. Well, that's the point. So if you're leading a team, you need to take the time, understand, sit down, have one-to-ones with everyone. You need to know each other. And again, time is one of the basic errors many people don't consider.
Well, and also working overtime is one of the frustrations of team members, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. So, I remember I used to put together the list of things I need to discuss with the team, like on Sunday night. Sunday night, I had like a couple of hours to go through the list and so on. But actually, you can do it on Friday afternoon, and then you are ready for Monday. So again, that is like you're doing your job. You're always, especially for young team leaders, but where they are still in the mode that they try to compete and try to demonstrate that they bring value all the time with their bosses and in front of the clients and so on. Sometimes they tend to neglect the team, because again, it's all about yourself. It's all about trying to be successful as much as possible, but also your team members, they are trying to be successful. So you need them just to allow them to be successful, and therefore is a group effort, is a team effort. It's not just yourself try to win and the others are trying to help you win even more. So it's the opposite, actually.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes, myself included initially, I wanted to chase being a leader. You know, I was like, that's what you need to do. I have a controversial opinion that not everyone needs to be a leader. It's okay not to be a leader as well. I mean, how do you feel about it? If some people,
absolutely,
yeah.
I mean, there is a bit of a pressure. I mean, so many people think that you are either a leader or you failed at your job, because that's that's the normal progression. And there is a bit of pressure in architecture industry, but in any single industry, where the only way to progress is become a manager, and then when you're a manager, you're leading a team, you're leading a bigger team, and then eventually, if you're lucky, you go into the strategy level, as we discussed before. You have technical, supervisory level, and then strategy level. But there are still people that they are confident to stay into their technical role for the entire career, which is fine. I mean, there's no problem. I mean, I remember when I was working in aviation years ago, there was a guy which was working on big airports like Heathrow T5 and then T2 and then Manchester Airport. And big airports are big public spaces, which in a way they are similar in terms of function, apart from the aviation side, to commercial buildings, to shop malls, because basically you have a lot of shops, a lot of services, and so on. And for years, he focuses on doing toilet packages. This guy was called Toilet Queen. He was absolutely happy. I mean, it was like, oh, we don't like pigeonholes. We don't like putting people doing the same thing. We want them to vary, to do different stuff. Yes, many people want to do different stuff. But also, because we are all different, there are also people and great professionals that they prefer to do the same thing over and over again and become absolutely masters and experts in what they're doing. And there's nothing wrong. I mean, we cannot dictate someone, oh, you will be happier if you do something different. Well, you don't know. They can only tell you, I'm happy if I do this, I'm happy if I do something else. But I'm a bit against saying, oh, everyone likes this, everyone would like to do this. No, you need to ask. You never know what people are trying to do, or what they really love doing, because their strength is mainly in a technical aspects, and they have no interest to lead a team. They have no interest to taking more responsibility. Maybe they are fine with what they are doing. And again, if the first thing is ask them, and then if you want to help and grow and push, yes, you can push, but don't push someone who has no idea to change. He doesn't want to do anything. I mean, the best advice you can have from any coach in the world: don't try to work and convince someone to change if they don't want to change. There's no way you can change a person if it doesn't want to change. Yeah,
no, that's so true. And I think it's important we talk about that. I've met people that have been a team leader actually and gone, do you know what? It's not for me. I don't want to do it anymore. And that's okay too.
Yeah, at least honest. That's very honest. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree. But the myth that everyone should be a team leader, I agree. I think that's just something that we built into ourselves. Are there any other myths or preconceptions that you think people put on themselves, Carlo?
Well, there is this, similar to this, there is this famous research, is one of the most important research of the last 50 years in organizational psychology, but it's not well known. People forgot about what was this research. Basically, they studied for years, I think 3-4 years, 500 different managers, almost 500 different managers in different industry at different levels. Yeah, and this ended up in a book which is called Real Managers, and they realized that there were two different types of managers: the one that were successful, the one that got promoted very fast, the one that they grew and then raised up in their career ladder, and there are the one that actually were more into being effective, and they were called effective managers, were the one that were working with their team, and they were really getting the business going because they were getting results, they were getting the job done. And they realized how these two type of managers spend their time, and they realize they spend their time completely differently. So, and again, there's no one is good, one is bad. But if you are more interested in career progression and grow and take responsibility and get up to as soon as possible to the strategy level, well, you need to focus on the way you communicate. So the successful managers, they were communicating more upstreams. They were communicating with their bosses. They were doing a lot of networking. They would spend most of their time on the phone speaking with consultants, clients, and people around them. While the effective managers, they were speaking mainly with their team. They were looking exactly at what the problem were to solve, how to solve it, try to be efficient in delivering results, and they were the one that were running the actual core value of the business. Again, in any business, you need both of these type of positions. But the research shows that It's very rare for someone to be both. Actually, the two type of managers overlap less than 10%. But again, the main difference is the way they spend their time. One is with more communication upward, and the other one was more communication with the team and try to resolve issues and problems.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I never knew of those two. I do quite like the word effective, but at the start I mentioned as well, one of the things that you're passionate about is leadership for introverts. Now,
Yes.
I think the preconception is that a leader should be extroverted, and that it's not the obvious choice for an introvert to be a team leader. Do you have any thoughts about that then, Carlo?
Well, is true. Is absolutely true. So again, science confirmed that if you keep still the distinction successful and effective manager, in science these are called emergent leader and effective leader. So emergent leader is someone that comes up. I mean, the person that is perceived like leader-like, and being extrovert is the biggest factor of someone being picked up. Oh, this person is a leader, because you hear more from him from her as a stronger voice, stronger presence, more assertive, while this person is shy, doesn't speak too much. So the perception from everyone as a natural perception is, oh, this is less leader-like, and the other person is more leader-like. So there is definitely, and again, being an extrovert is the strongest component among the big five personality traits, where you are perceived as a leader. But it doesn't tell anything about if you will become an effective leader. Because again, if you are good at selling yourself, again, extroverts, they tend to be better than introverts in promoting themselves. And then we'll go into the real difference between introvert and extroverts. But from a leadership point of view, yes, extroverted are picked it up easier and is a simpler choice than picking up an introvert. But then when they are so therefore for introverts it's more difficult to get into leadership positions. When these two, introvert and extrovert, are in leadership position, then is my strong belief is that introvert they have a big advantage, because in order to get to that position they already have to put the effort to stretch beyond their comfort zone. They need to do more than their natural, the natural way to behave, natural way to speak, natural way to present themselves. So therefore, they've done already the effort. So they already developed that habit to push beyond their first nature. While for extroverts, sometimes it's natural, so they don't have to spend any effort. Therefore, when they are both in leadership position, the introvert person already knows that it's all about pushing beyond your comfort zone, pushing to the extra mile. And most of the time, they are more effective because they understand more, okay, it's all about growing. It's not growing just myself, because they tend to listen more others, they tend to understand more the people around them. And therefore, if you are self-aware enough, and then you have this habit and this attitude to push and grow and learn all the time as much as you can. While sometimes extrovert, again, this is a generalization, they tend to get projected into a leadership position, sometimes with no clue why they got there, because they just came across, oh, this guy, look, how he speaks, how she behaves is more leader-like. So let's put her in this position and let's see how it goes. Again, it's more difficult for introverts to step up to get promoted to a leadership position. But then in terms of effectiveness, I think that introverts, they have another gear. Absolutely.
There you go. It's sometimes the joke, isn't it? You got to be careful of the quiet ones. Maybe they could be the best leader.
Yeah, exactly.
Not always the loudest person in the room.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not necessarily helpful to compare to big leaders or like Steve Jobs or Warren Buffett, like big names. They made millions in corporate America, because what they are doing at that level is strategic level. So it's not necessarily, they're not necessarily leading a team day by day. But most of these people are introverts. And again, it's all about the analytical skills to understand problems, to get down and try to understand exactly what's the core problem here and try to resolve it and try to involve your team as much as possible. That's a massive difference again, because again in recent years there've been more a discovery of the quiet power of very famous or very well known effective leaders, where actually people start to put into this dimension, are they introvert or extroverts? Most of these are introverts. Again, they are quiet, they get job done, they understand the problem, they don't make a big drama of what works or what it doesn't. Well, extroverted people, they tend to express their emotion very easily, and they tend to over dramatize stuff for themselves or for problems that are coming from the team.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Don't I know it? I'm probably one of those as well. Jokes aside, though, the other thing I wanted to talk about is because you mentioned as well once or twice that you consider yourself an introvert, but yet you also do public speaking. And so you've been at one or two RIBA events at the Future Leaders, well, more than a handful of times, actually. So I'd love to know about that, but also public speaking. I think I know I talk a lot now, but when I did the first podcast, I was very nervous, especially first conversation in person. I was like, oh, I've got to speak in front of people. So tell us what you do on that front. But what was it like first times as an introvert?
Right. So personally, I have this kind of dream. So I'm an Italian. Okay. I grew up speaking English, speaking Italian, and then when I turned 30, I realized, well, I don't know a single word. I mean, I probably knew a couple, but I cannot have a conversation with someone that is speaking English. So and then when I decided to come in the UK, and I definitely to get serious about. So one of my dreams was the most amazing thing I can do in my life is to deliver a speech in front of an audience in English, which for anyone in the UK may sound like, well, that's not a big dream. Well, for someone coming from a different country, it may come across as a simple thing, but is for me personally was a big thing. It was a big deal. So, and in that time of my career, when I start to understand, okay, I need to invest more in soft skills, communication is the biggest one, because again, architects, their job is communicate. There is a creative aspect, there is a technical aspect, but at the end of the day, you need to communicate. If you have a good idea, if you have a good design, if you don't know how to communicate it, it's worthless. So communication is the biggest single skill you can master to go be successful in any single job, not just architecture, engineering, every single industry. So public speaking is one of the things you go it comes in your path when you are focusing on improving your communication skills. And I honestly I was a bit surprised to see how many people never heard of Toastmasters. Have you, Stephen, heard of Toastmasters?
I haven't been though, but
there we go.
Yeah, but people that do go to it have said very good things.
Yes.
Maybe are you a Toastmaster member?
I not no more, but in the past I've done a lot.
Okay.
And again, if you are interested in public speaking, again, for architects is fundamental, because we are lucky. We have drawings, sketches, 3D, CGIs, 3D models, physical models, where you can present. And again, images and physical things are easier to communicate than anything else. But if you don't have a story, if you're not able to articulate a compelling story around what you are presenting, again, it's worthless. So communication is key. Public speaking is also another thing, because it's not something natural. I mean, again, even for extroverts, someone might think, oh, yeah, introverts are not as good as extroverts in doing public speaking. Well, if you pick up any extroverted person you know and you ask what's the most dreadful thing you can do, and most of the time they will say, well, it's public speaking in front of a public is one of the most dreadful thing for everyone, not just introvert or extroverts. But again, is a very important skill. Again, every time you are trying to sell an idea, every time you are selling a project, every time you are selling anything, even if you are just telling a story, it's fundamental that you know the basic skills of public speaking. And again, Toastmasters is a great thing, because it's free, it's everywhere. You can apply to go in any club for free, attend as much as you like. And all the good thing about Toastmasters, for example, is all based on feedback. I mean, you can either, if you do it by yourself, you can try to repeat a presentation in front of a screen. You can record yourself, and then you can listen back. You can see how you move, the way you express your tone, and so on. The way, if you come across like assertive enough, compelling enough, confident enough. Or you can go in things like Toastmasters, where everything is based on feedback. So you go there, you speak, you deliver a 1-minute speech, a 7-minute speech, whatever, and then you get feedback from all the audience, which if it's a small group, maybe if it's a small club, can be like 10, 15 people, but if it's a big club, can be 50, 60, 80 people in the club. And then everyone writes down anonymously their feedback about the way you were speaking too fast, you were speaking monotone, you are not moving enough, you are looking in, you're not doing like eye contact, you're looking in a corner, these type of things. And then you learn, and then you go up again, and then you try impromptu speeches, prepared speeches. Again, is a big gym to try to understand how you come across with others and how you can improve the technicality of your public speaking. Again, is half technical and soft skill, but it probably is more soft skill.
Yeah. Wow. I don't hear many people talk about Toastmasters, so that it's good that you mentioned. Yeah,
please. If you are trying to up your game in terms of presentation skills, in terms of speaking in front of a planning committee or in front of your bosses or your clients or consultants, well, public speaking skills, and Toastmasters particularly, I mean, is a good choice. I mean, Toastmasters is, I don't know how many clubs we have in London, for example. They are in any big city.
Yeah.
Any big city in the UK, in the world. I think there are 40,000 clubs in the world. And again, you can just step in. It's very welcoming. You step in, you listen. If you don't want to speak straight away, then you listen. When you feel confident, okay, let's have a go. Let's try.
Yeah, let's have a go. So do you think that boded well? What was it like then on your first? You talked about the dream. So you did it. You were in the RABA headquarters in the Futures Leaders. That's kind of like the Mecca.
You know what? Again, we don't spend time enough to stop and reflect. Oh, I did this. It's kind of one of my dreams, like giving a talk in front of, I think it was 100 architects at the RIBA, which was, well, hey, as you said, it's a Mecca from an architect. But it's kind of, oh, I did like a TED talk or something like that. This is one of my next thing I need to work on it. I mean, the main thing is, as an introvert, you need to prepare. I mean, even if you're an extroverted person, but I don't want to stick too much on this separation between extrovert and introvert. Let's allow me to generalize.
Generalize it. Good tip for everyone. Yeah.
For preparing, when you deliver a speech, well, you need to prepare it. I mean, there are very few people in the world that can just impromptu improvise a very good speech based on a very specific topic. I mean, unless you've done it many times. But if you want to touch on many aspects, technical aspects, scientific aspects, try to engage the public, well, you need to prepare, and you need to test it with your friends, with your partners, with whoever is willing to listen to you. So you can even record yourself. But yeah, it was about all preparation and make sure that the flow did make sense. Because again, the worst thing ever is your people have some kind of expectation from what you're going to say. But if you haven't prepared at all, well, you just start rambling, and then so is there any structure in in what you're saying? Because I don't have even a takeaway of what you just said. So that's why you need to structure your speech in a certain way to start from, I don't know, from drama to success, or from your personal story to all the difficult moment of your life, and then here we go, you come into talking about your success and inspire everyone around you. I mean, there are a lot of technical ways to do it, and storytelling is all about that. I mean, the good thing is storytelling. The reason why storytelling is so powerful compared to someone that is just bombarding you with data, information, numbers, is that storytelling is something that everyone can relate to. Because think about when you were a child, someone is telling you a story, or children and kids, they love someone telling stories. Or some of them, they even ask you, can you tell me a story? Can you read this? Can you read this book or whatever? Because when they are young, they don't have access to the ability to read. So therefore, they want someone to tell the story. So it's a pretty human need to get told a story. And therefore, the other thing of telling a story is you can relate to that story because he's a human being in front of you that is telling something about themselves or even about someone else. But usually, when it's about human individuals, everyone can relate to. The more you're going to touch on things where the audience is very close to the way you is very close to your experience, they start to think about, oh, this was me. This is me now. And again, the best thing ever is understanding that you're not delivering a speech. You're talking to every single person. And the more you are able to touch and to unlock their memory, or maybe touching on, oh, this is my attitude, this is what I believe also, this is, or even something different. This is what I thought was completely different. But actually, you are explaining very clearly that is part of what we can go through in our daily life. So storytelling is another thing that architects should be focused a lot, because I mean it makes a massive difference.
Yeah, well, life's a pitch, isn't it? There's a good book, and that quote always sticks in my mind. Now, I think it's great what you've done, and now I need to go to the future leaders myself, but I've got the benefit of you being here. Now, let's flip it around, because at the end, I normally like to ask my guests if they've got a few questions for me. Now, we know each other. I also work with you at EPR indirectly, because we do a lot of the recruitment for it. And we've had chats over the years. So
yes,
maybe it would be cool if you had one or two questions for me while we're here, so that, you know, it's
definitely.
not all one way, that you were involved too. Yeah.
We touched about soft skills and hard skills. Yeah. And I know you, I mean, with your job, you go through, I don't know how many CVs and portfolios you go through every day. But it's something that you breathe every single day. So is it something that you can spot, or you can, or something that comes across easily in a person's CV in terms of, oh, this is all focused on technical and all focused on software, or someone that actually is putting the effort to try to explain what is their soft skill baggage in terms of, I've done a bit of leadership, I've done a bit of leading teams, decision making, communication, presentation, public speaking.
Yeah, no, really good question. I mean, the short thing is the soft skills are everything, because in the interview we talked about life's a pitch, but an interview is a speech. It is storytelling, and the story is you, and the outcome on the story convinces the person whether or not they should give you the job, because the interview really is about, can you solve the problem I have on the team? And so soft skills are everything. The thing is, at the start, the hard skills can sometimes just be the filter which gets you in and out. So sometimes I get frustrated with, I can have this amazing person and I go, oh, you just did a Revit course for like 4 weeks just to get the basics. A bit when you were like, right, I need to do my English podcast just to brush up. I just wish people did that, because then it will unlock all the soft skills. Because the harsh thing in life is sometimes if you don't have some of the tick boxes, you don't get in the meetings, because that's the thing. People do judge on first impressions, and the CV is the document that does the speaking for you. And so sometimes you can have this frustrating situation where you've met someone and they're so convincing and engaging, but you can't get them in because certain things are not on the CV. On the other hand, there was someone recently that we introduced to EPR, because I know the company for years. And when you have conversations, which are really important part of being a professional, always speaking to people, but in recruitment, when you speak to someone on the phone, you really get a grasp of it. And I was like, I think they'll be really good for James's team. I just had a feeling. And then so then you just use, but there's trust in there. And it's also knowing one person, knowing the other. And you go, listen, I think you really like to meet this person. Trust me, I think they're a good fit. And if you've got that trust and rapport, you can do that. But even still, if there was a few things on that TV that want the tick boxes, I've had it where I've done that and it doesn't work. But when the soft skills are there, then the interview happens, and then everyone's excited and animated, and then everyone wants to make it go. So I think soft skills are so important. However, those hard skills, there are some things that you just have to have. And I know Revit, we talked about it so much, but you had that skill, you had that tick, and then it got you in to have these conversations where your soft skills then got the job. Does that make sense? It's a combination.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, don't dump in the bin all the technical skills you have, because again, most of the time they allow you to is your gateway to something you want to do, to a career you can build, because it's normal. I mean, it's pretty standard. You start from technical and then you go into more management and leadership and strategic positions. But and the other thing is, soft skills never start to learn and develop the soft skills you have and learn new ones. But we live in a world where change is happening every single day, not just in our life, in our profession. So therefore, keeping updated with what's going on in the industry, and then do courses, training, qualification that keep your technical skills to the level that you can have the conversation. Because again, being competent is one of the things that makes you a trustable leader. If you're not confident, I mean, the worst thing ever is having someone that is being promoted to a position where it doesn't know what's going on, doesn't know what he's talking about. It's the worst thing ever. It's the fastest way to erode your trust. If you're try to talk about something that you are not really competent, and then nowadays the competence in our industry is fundamental. I mean, it can put you in big troubles if you are not competent, or if you don't take the right decision, if you don't have the right judgment. Again, decision making and judgment are part of the soft skill sphere, but they have to do with competence as well, because some of the technical skill, they need to go with whatever you have learned in your career, what is your judgment, and then it's something that you develop all the time. And again, sometimes it's not easy to get decision, but that's the beauty of decision making. If there is uncertainty, then you enter the game of decision making. If everything is obvious and certain, well, what's the reason to take decision? Is already there.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now, I think we're at this point. Maybe we got time for one more question, and then I'd like to tell everyone where they can find you. What other questions do you have for me, Carlo? The most burning question you've always wanted to ask me, live and unscripted.
Question to you. How much of Navisworks comes into the CV review? Because the beauty of Navisworks, I got about Revit. Navisworks gives you a massive freedom to quickly navigate through the complexity of the project. So this is because probably my engineering background and nature. But I love complexity. I love complex projects where the level of complication in the way you need to understand and simplify big problems is something that happens every day. And Navisworks, again, not being sponsored by Autodesk, but Navisworks.
I'd love that though. If they want to sponsor me and you now, Autodesk, we will let you know where to find Carlo and me in a second. But carry on, Navisworks.
But Navisworks, if you are working on projects where you are kind of a delivery stage, you are on site, or you are at a level where you have pretty much everything modeled, is amazing, because again, very quickly you can see everything that is going on. It's kind of virtually being on site, where you can turn and off different contractors' models. You have the services, the pH, you have the mechanical, electrical. You can turn on and off, and you can see exactly what's coming in, where it's coming, if there is a clash. I'm not talking about the automatic clash detection things, which is a cool stuff that all the BIM managers and BIM coordinators do. But from an architect point of view, I mean, if you are able to navigate into the model and very quickly tell what's going on, and then again tell the story of, here we go, this is what's going on, this is what's happening, let's have a look at the thing in 3D straight away. Revit can do the same thing, but it takes like 20 times the time to go navigate into the complex model. I mean, one of the recent one that we were working on, there are 100 or slightly more than 100 models from different contractor consultants and so on. And then it is a beauty just to navigate into this complexity and being able to spot the thing that doesn't work or that works, and be able to show it to client, to be able to show it to consultants and explain, guys, this is what's going on. Straight away, okay, we can go back in plans, in sections, but be able to navigate in 3D very quickly gives you the freedom to understand things faster and to understand the model faster, the project faster.
Yeah, but disappointingly, the answer is I don't see it much, and I rarely does it become into the brief unless it's a very BIM centric role. So like a BIM coordinator, it will come up. But very interestingly, I've not had an architectural role for an architect where Navisworks is a plus. Also, I don't tend to see it on many CVs other than a BIM champion, which is a very informal way of saying maybe a Revit person on the team, or a BIM coordinator. However, if they do have it, now I know I should probably drop you a message with it, because clearly you're passionate. You're passionate about it. But on that note of dropping you a message, I think you've enlightened myself. I feel like I've been in a CPD, which is the best version, because I like doing the podcast, but it's also cool if I get to learn something from it. Now, if anyone in the audience learned something from this, or they want to get in contact with you for leadership advice, leadership coaching, or they want to keep up to date with you about the talks that you do at the RIBA, all that good stuff, Carlo, where can they find you?
I think the easiest is a LinkedIn.
Okay.
So it's LinkedIn /in/Carlo-Magni.
Okay.
So it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. And if you're on audio, I'll put Carlo's details. I'll put his LinkedIn into the description as well. Carlo, now we've recorded this during your lunch break and EPR. So I apologize to the whole board for delaying you. I won't keep you any further, but for me, this has been
a pleasure.
It's been super valuable to me. And thank you for making the time to do it. I really appreciate it. Stay on the stage for 1 second, because I'm going to say goodbye to you in the audience. So if you enjoyed this, do get in contact with Carlo. I like people that walk the walk as well as to talk the talk. So Carlo has done lots of cool buildings. And as well, that's the person that you want to get leadership advice from, rather than some of those coaches that talk about it but don't actually do it. So I appreciate you being here. Do follow Carlo, and more content coming up. I've got 1 or 2 scheduled. I can't tell you what they are, but I was excited for them just as much as this. So keep in tune. Thank you, everyone in the audience. I'm going to end the live stream now. Have a good day, everyone. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Cheers.